Hello, doing something a little bit different today. I've got do some aromatherapy stuff. First thing I'm going to make is a relaxing rollable. These are all my own recipes, and using one of these 10 ml glass rollables. Use brown glass because the essential oils can be affected by light, so that sort of prevents that, and glass because the oils can degrade plastic, and that's not too great either. These can be a little snug, so I'm just gonna, the oil doesn't flow too nicely out of them, so I'm just, this will depend on the product you get, but I've sort of learnt this about these ones, so I'm just going to stretch that out a little bit and pop the ball back in. There we go. And for this one I'm going to use jojoba oil, like the fresh skin stuff. I use their essential oils as well because they're decent quality without being too horrendously priced. We'll be using lavender. I've got to find them all in my, see, I've got quite a few. They are in alphabetical order, but that doesn't always help. Lavender, bergamot, rose geranium, vetiver, sweet orange, wherever that's living. There we go, sweet orange, and lang lang, one of my favourites. You've got to be careful of the dilution you're using, because getting these neat on your skin can cause reactions and irritations and things. You certainly don't want to ingest any of them. Dilution will depend on what you're using it for and how often. This is just a sort of relaxing one that I'm assuming people won't be using day in, day out, so I'm going with a fairly strong dilution. It's about sort of 6 to 7%, which is very strong. For like a face cream, you want a 1% dilution, for example. So, and if you're creating things for younger people, children, or very elderly people, people with other things going on, you want to consider that in the dilution as well. So we will start with adding the essential oils, and I want 5 drops of lavender. I don't know if you can, some of them come out very fast, some of them are a bit slower. It depends on their viscosity. Some of the thicker ones will actually need a bit of warming up in the winter to get them moving at a reasonable speed. 3 drops of the bergamot. So bergamot's one of those oils, along with a lot of the citrus ones, that are sort of, I don't know what the term is, but they're sort of UV reactive, so you don't want to be having a product with lots of this in on your skin and then going out into bright sunlight, because it will just make you burn a bit quicker and get sunburnt. You can get what they call FCF bergamot, which is something rather free, and that means it's made in a slightly different way and it's safe in that regard. Sweet orange is actually one of the citrus ones that doesn't have that property. photoreactive maybe. Anyway, there's 3 drops of bergamot. I'm going to have 2 drops of rose geranium. It smells quite strongly of rose, but it doesn't cost sort of £30 for 2 millilitres of it, so it's a good alternative. Just 2 drops of that. Then we want the vetiver. Another 2 drops. Oh, get the lid off. And this is the sweet orange, and I want 1 drop of that. There we go. And finally 1 drop of the Lang Ylang. Okay. So all of these aromas are sort of either top notes, middle notes or base notes. Sometimes they can sort of sit between, and the ideal ratio is 30% top note, 50% middle note and 20% base note. In this one we've got the bergamot and rose geranium that are a top note. Sorry, not the rose geranium, sweet orange. Oops, daisy, bergamot, sweet orange, both citrusy. And you've got the lavender and rose geranium that are middle notes, and the vetiver and Lang Ylang that are base notes. And this recipe is a 28.6% top note, 50% middle note and 21.4% base note, so it's pretty close to the ideal. And these sort of essential oils are meant to help with things like depression, headaches, stress, insomnia, anxiety. Vetiver help with exhaustion, nervous tension, depression. They're all sort of emotionally helpful. And then we need to add a carrier oil, which is so that we're not putting neat essential oils on our skin. This is jojoba oil, which is not technically an oil, it's a wax that is liquid at room temperature, but it's very close to, quite closely matches the properties of our natural skin oils, so it sort of rubs in quite nicely. It's not too greasy, it doesn't sort of leave a oily residue, and we just want to fill up the rest of the rollable. Stop knocking the camera. Using a pipette. It's only a 3mm pipette, so I'll need to do this a few times. Don't want to fill it completely to the top, because if there's not at least a little bit of air in it, the rollable won't work very effectively until some of it's used. You also need to leave some space for this bit of plastic to go in and not displace your creation all over the table or wherever you're making things. Oh, exactly like that. Right, I'm going to clean that up. Since this is for me, I'm getting someone else. Let's see if I can rescue any of it. So because I can't add more essential oils at this point because we've sort of half filled it and the ratio would be off, so I'm just going to rescue what I can, top it up with a bit more jojoba oil and see where we're at. If I was giving this to somebody else I wouldn't be slurping it up off my desk, but waste not, want not. It's working pretty well, but it's a pretty slow process, at least now. I think that's about as good as it's going to get. Just add a tiny drop more. Lid on that before we have more accidents. I don't know if you can see the oil's filled up to about here, and I'm just going to pop that in. I'm going to wipe the outside because of my little accident. I'm going to put a label on it, and if it's too oily, greasy, it's not going to stick. I'll just get that clean. Put the lid on, give it a little shake. Shouldn't have lost too much in the way of essential oils because in theory they'd have been mostly lingering at the bottom until I shook it. I've got some little labels here. I'll just put relaxing, 10 ml. Let's put some little flowers just for decoration, because why not? Use my sleeve to press that on because my fingers might be a bit greasy. Oh, there we go. So there we go. Relaxing roll on, and something like this you can just sort of roll it on your pulse points. Nice width. There you go. And let's put. Well, see what I need for the next recipe. So I will be using the lavender again and the ylang ylang, and the rest can go away. The other ones I will need are sandalwood, that's rosewood, there we go, sandalwood, Mei Chang, which is actually a tisserand one, they're very nice indeed. Grapefruit, lemon and lime. What I'm going to make with these is a room spray, which is called Calming and Cleaning. Citrus oils are very good for A lot of them are sort of antibacterial, good for cleaning. Some have sort of insect repelling qualities. So very good for that sort of thing. And then there's the relaxing sort of lavender, good for anxiety, stress, headaches and things. Hence calming and cleansing. And because I'm using them for a room spray, I don't have to worry about all these citrus oils being sort of photoreactive. They're not going on anyone's skin. I've made this before for myself, and I already have a bottle which I'm just going to refill. I'll put that on the tissue there. We'll start dropping in our ingredients. Sandalwood might be a bit viscous, but we want the dilution for this is 4% before I get started. The 3 citrusy ones are top notes, the lavender and Mei Chang and Lang Lang are middle notes, and the sandalwood is a base note. But yes, we'll start with the base note and add 6 drops of sandalwood. That's being very thick, so I'm actually going to warm that up a little bit and add the rest to start with. So 6 drops of Mei Chang. This is a very, very nice oil. 6 drops. That's that one done. 6 drops of Lang Lang. It's worth noting some oils are can only be used in certain dilutions in their own right. A lot of things like sort of clove and cinnamon can be an irritant for the skin, so a lot of them need very low dilutions within a individual product. What was I say? 6 drops of this. The numbers it's only a sort of 4.1% dilution for this whole product, but the numbers seem bigger because it's a 30ml bottle. Well, I bought them as 30ml bottles. When I measured it, it was actually closer to 40, so that's what I've worked with on the dilution. And we want 4 drops of lemon. Four drops of grapefruit. 4 drops of lime. Oopsie-daisy. And 3 drops of lavender. So we're adding some of these floral and sort of more woody scents to balance it out, because all 4 of those are citrus. Let's see if the sandalwood will behave a bit better. 6 drops of that. This is what I mean when I say some of them are a bit bit more viscous, less eager to play. I'm going to pause for a second, try and warm that up a bit more. You can sort of warm it between your hands, put it in a sort of warm water bath. Yes, you don't want to sit here for a good 5 minutes while I try and get 6 drops out of this bottle. So I'm going to pause and I will come back when the sandalwood oil is in the bottle. There we go, that's done. It's more like a minute, but often the first drop will take the longest and then it sort of keeps flowing a bit quicker. So we've got all our sort of essential oils in the bottom. If you're doing what I'm doing and refilling a bottle, you need to make sure it's completely empty. You've used all the product before you start refilling, because otherwise the dilution will be out of whack because you'll have sort of remnants in there. So now what we're going to add is what we call a perfumers alcohol base. It's 96% ethanol, and what this does is, because we'll be adding 15 mils of this and just and 20 mils of water. And if we just added the water to the essential oils, they would do what oil and water normally do. They wouldn't mix, the oil would just sit on top. And if we mix the essential oil into 15 mil of this to start with, that will then allow the combined product to mix with water. And when you spray it, it will disperse nicely. You won't just get a bunch of water from the bottom of the bottle. So what you need to do now is put the liquid on top, give it a good shake. And then pretty much top it up with water, but it should be about 20 millilitres. So it's a 40 ml bottle, and there was about 5 ml of essential oils, maybe a bit less, and 15 ml of this. So again, you need to leave a little bit of room for a little sort of spray. And give it another little shake. See, on this one I've put the ingredients on the back and just spray a bit on here, but that's smelling lovely. So that's that. The carrier oils for their roll-on, the jojoba oil can be a bit pricey. Sweet almond oil is another good one to use. It's a bit cheaper, but obviously avoid anyone with nut allergies. And it has a different sort of feel and different properties to the jojoba oil, but both pretty good for the skin, so neither's a bad choice. And with your essential oils, make sure you're buying actual essential oils, because some of them are sort of blends or based on sort of their sort of fragrance oils instead. Some of them are just rubbish quality, and they either smell weird and chemically, or they smell very nice but the smell doesn't last very long. They're diluted or something. So yeah, there's a few good brands. Disround's very good. I like the fresh skin ones. Amphora Aromatics stuff's quite nice too. Yeah, that's the sort of products that we've just made. They will get used and appreciated by me, and that's everything. So hopefully you've enjoyed that. Like I said, a little bit different. And if you have any questions or you do a bit of aromatherapy yourself, please feel free to share in the comments, and I will see you again soon. Thank you very much for watching. Bye.